All right. Hello, everybody. Super excited. Today on the show, we have a super special guest, Mr. Jacob Fernandes of Vidyard. Thanks, Jacob, for joining us. If you want to take maybe a few minutes to explain who you are, what you do, what does Vidyard do?
Sure. Thank you for having me, Paul and Fab. So, like you mentioned, my name is Jacob Fernandes. My role here at Vidyard is a customer outcomes manager. So my direct responsibilities are actually educating and conversating with our customers, anything strategically or technically around Vidyard services. Vidyard's an online video platform. We make it very easy for companies in the B2B space to distribute video assets through email, hosting video assets through web. And our main bread and butter is actually identifying who is watching your video assets and able to leverage these analytics into marketing systems and CRMs to track engagement.
Awesome.
Thanks, Jacob. So I'm going to take it away here. I always hog the questions. So Jake, in a concrete fashion, Fab and I have a sales and marketing podcast, right? So in a concrete fashion, I'm going to sort of go down two lines of questioning. And the first line of questioning is how, an SMB could use video to promote what they do, but also the individual salesperson. How do they best use video to promote what the message they're trying to get across?
Right. So people would use a video creation tool. So Vidyard has one of these. We call this Vidyard for Sales. Essentially, this tool allows the rep to record quick video assets, whether it's just like how we are, selfie style videos, or screen recordings to send video assets via email. So why I think sales reps should be doing this, and especially in today's times, we can't be shaking hands with people right now, at least just due to our climate today. But and I don't want to focus on today's times too, because video is going to be relevant going forward, but target audiences that these sales reps are trying to prospect, they're getting flooded with prospecting emails from different vendors. I bet you, Fab, or even yourself, Paul, have received prospecting emails from time to time. And as experts, as you guys are experts within sales and marketing, you guys can easily pick up a sales or marketing email. And if it's not relevant or valuable to you, I bet you have less than 8 seconds to delete that email. And I've gone through the process, and I've experienced that direct hand as I was prospecting for a living with Vidyard back in the day. So you reps need to find a way to stand out in someone's inbox. And once we have the attention, and ironically, the most important thing in an email is the subject line, which I can kind of give some best practices on getting attention for someone to open the email. But when someone's opening your email, you roughly have 5 to 8 seconds to just get them to interact. So I think leveraging video allows you to add more of a humanized approach to personalized email, and you can easily target your message to the direct audience. So you at least have that chance for them to hear you out. People are going to showcase, videos are the best thing to in sales. You need video to succeed in sales. Video is another tool in the tool belt to get the engagement. And I think one thing people should take away from understanding video is that video is nothing new in our world. We've been consuming video assets since birth, whether it's television, etc. So it's an easy form of education. And I think this is why salespeople can succeed, is they can easily educate their markets by sending video assets to the right person, and obviously stand out to get their attention.
And how do you feel like, I don't know if you have numbers, but what are the numbers of success? Like if someone's thinking, okay, do you have any data showing us that video actually has a better opening rate or a better response rate?
Yeah, our marketers, we have a video and benchmark report that we do every year that is critiquing just how video is being leveraged into B2B space. And all that data is being referenced from our customers. But from personal use, I've had cadences where I've sent 3,000 plus emails, and my average open rate was 66% with a subject line within, my go-to subject line is nothing creative, but it's literally like, Paul, I made this video for you. And day in and day out, it stood out to at least get them to open up that email. Yeah. And then whatever context you have in the email is up to the rep's responsibility to make sure that it is relevant and valuable to the person to engage with. But that's what the experience and coaching throughout the years in terms of each rep's, people can craft emails, no problem. But when you're trying to create a video, it's like your first cold call. It's going to be a little awkward. So,
well, and what do you suggest there? Like, do you have any clue? Do you have any clues that you can give the listeners and the viewers to give them an idea of like, okay, love it, want to try it, but I think
right.
one of the biggest things is like, I'm not just going to, verbalize my email. Like, how do I make it interesting? How do I make it exciting and make it such that the person at the other end actually feels like listening to my video?
Right. And I sometimes still struggle with that too, because my responsibility is to mitigate churn within the organization. So I have to make sure that our customers are happy and they're using our services correctly.
Yeah.
And I'm still playing around with my communications to our customers to make sure they book time with me so I can, help them out. So it is a practice, just like cold calling to get the attention. You have to adjust your way of approach to different target audiences. But I think the best way for someone to get started, and there's two types of prospecting, at least I know, is inbound and outbound. And I think that there's a big difference on how we should be approaching people depending on how they understand who you are. Because you can use video very easily if someone's raising their hand to ask a question, like demos, webinar, the inbound content. Half the time, what I would do is I would hold up a whiteboard. Hey, Paul, thanks for requesting some more information. Wanted to reach out to you with this quick video and talk about what you need to. That's probably the easiest thing someone could do. And I would get cheeky because when I was prospecting with Vidyard, they're like, okay, Jake, you got 2,000 leads from this campaign that we need you to fire off. You really think I'm going to sit down and do 200 emails a day of video? That's going to kill me. So with inbound content, you can get away with a lot of generic assets. I would literally slap on the whiteboard, hey there. And then when they click the video, I'm like, hey there, thanks for clicking play. My name's Jacob. I saw you did this. Would love if we could connect. So with inbound, you can get away with generic videos and just a whiteboard and add a face to the brand. But when it comes to prospecting, if I'm trying to get your attention, Paul, and I'm waving to you in your inbox with a whiteboard, you're going to be like, who the heck is this guy? Like, I've never met him before. And hey, maybe that might get you to click play because, okay, this is something new. But half the time, nobody wants to waste their time with talking to somebody they don't know without any context. So when I try and coach people, I tell them, instead of you being in the spotlight with that whiteboard, put the prospect in the spotlight. What I tend people to do is go on their LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a gold mine for personalization. I can see what I'm sorry, Fab, I'm not trying to throw you off with this. I can see what my prospect is liking, what they're writing, what they're commenting, what they're sharing. So you can leverage that information as a way in. And I tell them, I think every sales development or salesperson should know is relevancy and value are the two core things you need to make sure that email or video has. So the relevancy is finding something that I can kind of touch base on that you're publicly sharing. And if people have dry LinkedIn profiles, you can use this public knowledge on their website, news-related articles, blog posts, etc. Something to just that spark interest that you did your homework, and then flipping that information to add value. So
that's really interesting, Jacob, and I could totally see that value. Now, my next question, and you said you talked about this, how do you even get them to open the video? And you're right, there's probably a novelty element now because not many people are sending either LinkedIn videos or email videos. So right. What's the strategy to get, particularly obviously in an outbound call or an outbound situation, how do you get people to actually open up that video?
Right. Yeah. And that's where putting them in the spotlight is very important. So the subject line, Paul, I made this video for you. You're like, okay, what is this? Okay, now I have your attention in the email. So with Vidyard, when you attach a video, it's like a little box, a thumbnail that has the first seconds of the video or whatnot. It just shows the thumbnail of what they should click on. So if you see me talking to your LinkedIn profile, you're going to be thinking, okay, what does this guy have to say about me? And the analogy I like to use is if you're down on St. Laurent Street in Montreal and you're with your buddies and someone holds up a sign that says, hey, Paul, hey, Fab, you're going to go to your buddies. Oh, hey, look, my name's on the whiteboard, but you'll just continue walking down the street. But if someone holds up a picture of your face, you're going to cross the street and say, okay, what is this about? Why are they talking about me? So that's what I think. I think the subject line gets their attention, and then you talking over something that they're going to recognize, whether it's their website or their personal LinkedIn profile, 8 out of 10 times they're most likely going to click play and see what this is about. But then that's where you have that 90 seconds video, whatever you're talking about, that's going to convert them. So video is at least going to get them their attention, and it's up to the sales rep to really develop that cold approach, that video cold call, right? So,
and if I could just chime in, like, because I use Vidyard, so full disclosure, in my outreach stuff, and what I notice works too is, like you mentioned, like they have the capsule or whatever, the image that you have of the video is kind of like, if I notice if that capsule is animated, like if I'm scrolling up and down their LinkedIn page or something, that draws the attention right away in the email. I notice like I get much higher views and reply rates if that caption is like kind of animated.
Right. Yeah, because you can change, like video, you could put the video in there, but then you can select if you want it to like move, so add like a GIF inside the email. So yeah, so animation is a little bit more engaging too. But yeah, putting them in the spotlight, like making sure that they know that I'm doing my homework is very important. And I actually did a collaboration. We're helping out a customer of ours in SalesLoft. They're a cadence software. So like HubSpot sequences, SalesLoft does something very similar. And they actually made something very important. They said, if you want an effective outbound email, you actually have to make that email less than 100 words. So that's where I think video can really complement that, because you can just have a couple sentences to just showcase why you're reaching out and then let the video do all the talking. I would rather record 50-second video than type out 2 paragraphs of, maybe it's me just because I'm a little lazy, right? Millennial or whatnot, but I'm just saying, I think it's easier to get your point across too.
Yeah, I'd also prefer to, honestly, I'd rather make a minute video than type out 2 paragraphs as well, because the paragraph can be misconstrued. And there's so much, and we've talked about this in the past, that, when you're speaking to a person, your tone, your personality, people have an instinct for what you're actually saying. So the integrity is, you can read the integrity of the person. You can read so much about what's going on in the video rather than just the content, right? So that, I think it makes a big difference. It's not just the words you're saying in the video, it's how you say it. It's your approach. They're getting a feeling for the person that you are,
Right. And that's why in-person meetings are quite effective, especially with high-end deals, like 6-figure deals. You need to have that connection between someone to just trust and build rapport. So this is maybe the next best thing, is being there in person. That's why like Zoom is having such success. That's why video podcasts are very engaging too, because you don't have to be there. But it's not one all be all video, right? But it does really make a difference, especially throughout the sales cycle too. Like prospecting is one thing to get the attention, but if you're really trying to like go over complex ideas and you want to make sure that the opportunity they understand every single detail that they need to feel confident on their purchasing decision, you can just go through documentation, go through PowerPoint. Because half the time, if we're at a sales cycle and you're actually gonna, here's the quote, here's the PDF, here's the proposal. You're kind of leaving that on the table for the decision makers to talk about. They're talking amongst each other about how your services will benefit them. And as a rep, you're playing a risky game of telephone because you don't know if they're saying the right things to sell your services. So if you can go over proposals with video, if you can go through quotes and documentations and really make sure you outline all the value proposition and you control the narrative, they just listen and watch, and then they can make the decision based on how you're presenting. So
that's
very powerful.
It's very powerful. It's very interesting because Fab and I are all about controlling the narrative. We've talked about that a lot. And it's interesting. I'd never thought of it in that way. I'll be honest with you. I'm still a proponent of if you can, you should really, have a person in front of you, and you should really be speaking to the decision maker. Nonetheless, if you're in a situation where you just don't have access to the decision maker, video is a great option because you're controlling the narrative. Very, very good point.
Yeah, and I know we talked a lot about prospecting in the first stage, but like I really like what you mentioned is like using video further down the funnel, so to speak, right? To be able to like adding the video, talking like summarizing your conversation, your discovery calls and stuff like that. And then it allows whoever you're speaking to, like you just mentioned, to share that video, and you're completely controlling the narrative. Everything is coming from you. Somebody you've never spoken to or never seen before all of a sudden has this rapport with you because they know who you are, or what you look like, or what you sound like.
Exactly. If it wasn't for video, I wouldn't be on this podcast because Fab got to know me, right?
There you go, exactly.
But I jumped the gun going a little bit further in like the sales process where video can be used too. But it was just a quick example. But
I think that's super important because I mean, in what I've seen, or even how I got to meet you, is about how to build your pipeline using video and email. But But using it myself, I realized like there's actually a lot of benefit also further down the pipeline, summarizing your calls, going through proposals or whatnot, especially when not everybody can be on the phone all the time. It allows you to avoid having 3-4 times the same meeting, but with different stakeholders.
Yeah, like they could just like watch that video on their own time too, instead of always having to hop on a call to go over.
Exactly.
But you mentioned too, like using other video resources to kind of in your cadence of touch points to educate, because you're not always going to get the response off the first call or the first video, right? It takes what, like average 5 to 7 touch points for somebody to reply. So you could use video to just educate throughout the cadence, because ironically, I was prospecting for Vidyard for like 2.5 years. And I came from a sales position before I got the job at Vidyard. And right off the bat, I got my happy ears on. I got my sales ears. I'm trying to like pitch, when in reality, effective prospecting is actually just education. So if we can make it easy for them to understand how your services can really benefit them, maybe you do that first LinkedIn video to add that sense of personalization. Okay, they don't bite. Okay, then maybe you have a great customer story video that's targeted to the recipients you're reaching out to. And that could be generic. So now you have a customer story video that's educating them. Okay, that's still not getting their attention. Hey, and maybe the next one's like, hey, do you know what? Just like I told you how, Vidyard is doing XYZ, here's actually what they're doing specifically with our services. So you can just use video assets to generically control the story and make it easier for them to digest that information. But your best bang is getting very targeted and personal. That's where I think you're really going to get the attention.
It's interesting. We talk about the process a lot, and I haven't used. I used a LinkedIn video system a couple times on my phone, but it's very limited, right? It's sort of like a
selfie. It's like, hey, what's up?
Yeah, and I like what we're saying today, and it's funny because I used video a lot, and I record my webinars, and I feel kind of stupid right now because I'm thinking, wow, this is brilliant, and I should have thought of this before. But it's really interesting. So if we're talking about video in sales format, that's good. So now we've talked about the individual. Let's talk about the business. Let's talk about the company that has that wants to reach out to, and I'm not saying in the typical advertising format, but let's say more in an in-between state where you're trying to reach out to people, not as an individual, but as a business. How do you suggest the use of video at that point?
Right. You have your typical, social campaigns, and there's platforms like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. These are very good assets to have play, getting people to understand your organization, value proposition videos so people understand the benefits of your content. All that video assets that are outside your website that are social platforms and advertisements, I think that's where people actually put some money and some play, like in terms of investing in a videographer to create content like that. But when it comes to like your website from inbound traffic, Vidyard wins, or any video hosting platform that is business focused, because if you can gate video assets to start, lead generating and starting to identify these viewers, you can use that information and pass that along to sales reps too. Yeah. But that's going a little bit too deep into the analytical part, but you can use video assets for news. You can do email campaigns like news related updates, product updates. You can do any campaigns to just blast off video resources to educate your markets too. But video can be leveraged throughout the whole business. Like, for example, I deal with customers daily. So I have a whole resource of video resources. I have a whole resource of a video library, that makes it easy for me to answer questions. Because every day someone's like, Jacob, how do I do this? Jacob, how do I do that? So I either direct them to a website where Vidyard hosts all their educational videos so people can learn everything they need to know, or I could send them one-to-one depending on what they can do. So there's a lot to talk about how businesses can get started. Businesses can thrive with video on just having a video on their homepage that goes straight to the point and then has a call to action to book a demo, or to knowledge-based articles that showcase tutorials from A to Z on how to get something done. So whether it's from marketing your products to educating your products from a customer perspective, or just an inbound lead generation and educational perspective, just makes it easier for people to understand how you can help.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a large topic because you can do tons of things from email automation with video to internal communications to onboarding new hires with video. everything can be strategically used, and it can all be asynchronous, meaning video resources are live and you guys can use these videos to help wherever you can. Because I would rather have just like how we have templated emails to say the same thing, we can have video libraries to answer every frequently asked questions and help get people started with business or even started with your services too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the main bread and butter that Vidyard will do, especially from a marketing perspective, is identifying viewers, because that's where Vidyard differentiates from any other video platform. So in terms of YouTube, people always say, well, what's the difference between you and YouTube? YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. You should have everything on YouTube. This is a brand awareness play. This allows your audience to hopefully discover you guys. But then you want to lead them to your website where you have full control. That's like getting people walking through your retail store. And if you have the technology like HubSpot and Vidyard, you can actually start to identify these people who are watching your video content. So now I know that this person watched our intro video. They actually watched maybe 15% of a webinar, and they even watched some bottom of the funnel content, like actual demos of our platform. That's a qualified lead that we can send off to sales. And now sales can look on their contact record in HubSpot and start to identify exactly what they're engaged in. So they have some form of common ground when they get them on the phone. They have some form of understanding and relevance of what this person's digesting. So yeah, from a technical perspective, video and marketing automation go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I think it's again, it goes back to the same thing, right? Where it's usually easier for somebody to watch a video than to read like a whole, knowledge base article on how to do X, Y, Z. You could probably do that in 1 to 2 minutes, or like a 600, 800, 900 word article.
Right. Vidyard's. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's it. And I think just people. I mean, sometimes it's nice to have the text because it's easier to follow through. But if you're just looking for a quick answer or something super quick to do, like video is like way key.
100%. And a lot of companies today, right, they base success off vanity metrics. Like our video went viral. It got 1 million views on TikTok. It got 100,000 views on YouTube. Okay, but now let's say this video assets on your website, you know that it got 2,000 people watching it. Of those 2,000 people, who were they, right? And if we can identify who those people are and then showcase in our CRM or that to convert these leads into opportunities, you can now say that, hey, this video actually qualified 25% of the viewers and 10% of those qualified viewers closed revenue. So we're really tying the gap between vanity metrics and actual conversion and success of video assets. So from a marketing perspective, if people are really interested to know who is watching, there's services out there now that can actually answer those questions. And I don't want to keep plugging Vidyard because I want to make sure this is just a video focused topic, but that's full potential right now, what video and marketing automation can do today. Regardless of sales getting attention, but just marketers having the power to say, okay, I know we got 200 views from this video and we actually identified 30% of these people, which now are inbound traffic and leads to tackle and try and convert. So yeah, there's lots of potential when it comes to knowledge with video.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thanks, Jacob. I mean, this is it's super interesting. What would you say to our listeners or viewers that are considering, dabbling in this? What should be their first approach other than reaching out to Vidyard?
Right.
What should they be doing to sort of test or see? Should you be scripting their videos? Right. Should they be like how do you start? How do you dip your foot in the water when you've never done this?
Yeah, well, dipping your foot in water is downloading the tool and just giving it a shot. But one thing I want to tell people, regardless if you're sales or marketing, sales doesn't need to rely on marketing anymore to create powerful content to educate.
Oh, Fab, you're in trouble.
No, not like this. So sales can now create content that marketing's providing to put in their own words, and marketers don't need to spend high budget campaigns to create compelling video content that will convert. So I feel like in the future, right now, user-generated content is what's really going to make an impact in today's B2B buying process. So marketers today have great tools to understand how their videos are converting, and sales have tools to create content to get inbound traffic to convert to opportunities with video. So if you are sales and you are in a cold calling perspective, make sure that you download the tool and just use that subject line, first name, I made this video for you, keep your videos under 90 seconds and put them in the spotlight, and you will see some form of success. I can't sell your services for you. You're the expert within your field. You know how to articulate your services, but I can show you ways to record content to make an impact within your communication. So everybody can hop on. Like Vidyard has free coaching sessions that you can just learn how to do this. We have people to train you for free to get started. So it just takes you to sign up for the tool. So.
Yeah, and I mean, like one pushback that I get a lot from salespeople when we talk about, or when I used to talk to them about using videos, like a lot of them end up being uncomfortable, like they've never done it. So I think like what helps a lot too is like just, you know, having your free coaching sessions, but also doing some role play style things with your colleagues, right? You're shooting some video with your colleagues, and the more you do it, the more comfortable you get.
Right, but
you know, like,
yes. And one thing to overcome that, because a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm uncomfortable on camera. You know, I don't want to do this." These salespeople will go into boardrooms and meeting rooms and conferences and shake hands with people and just get to know them and just have no problem presenting. There's no difference. Just think of being on camera as like being next to someone. So I understand if you're on camera and you look like, you know, there's like a blackout silhouette and your environment isn't the best. You can control that, but just talk as if I have a lisp. I say you know, just talk as if you're talking to someone. The good thing about using video to prospect is that you can always hit restart. And when it comes to in-person sales, you can't be like, "Oh, 1 second, let me," you know what I mean? First impression. So I think it's not about the perfection of recording content. I think it's about the connection of what you're doing to stand out and build rapport with that audience. So
great.
So I'm very passionate about this. I know, like, it might come across, "Oh, this looks easy for you," but I've never tried it. But just click record and see what happens. Like that's.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong. Like Vidyard has like a free tier, right? So it's like it's really like a very low barrier to entry to get started, really.
Exactly. And if you are a small business right now, and you don't have budgets to create compelling video assets to help educate your market, you can record everything from your phone to your computer. So I made a whole video for sales certification course that's going to be launching later this year, just for my iPhone and my MacBook. I've never made a video before. I've never made a certification. So I just sat down and did it. And so we have so much technology right now that's available to us to make compelling and great experiences. And if we wanted to educate our prospects and our customers very easily, video is the way to do so, unless, like Paul, you were saying, being there face to face. That is probably always going to be the staple in business, is that human connection. But like you mentioned, if you are limited,
it's not realistic, right? Particularly when you're prospecting. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. So
yeah, I'd rather send 100 videos than knock on 100 doors.
Yeah,
saves gas. So
absolutely.
All right, cool.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been great having you, and I think it's a very interesting topic. I think it's a no-brainer to me.
Sorry if I ranted. I know there's so much I could talk about. I'm like an evangelist. I just want people to sip the Kool-Aid, right? So I'm very passionate on different topics.
And you know, we invited you here because we feel there's a lot of strength in using video as well, right? We're strong proponents. I haven't used it as much, but you know, it's an obvious thing. So
well, I can show you the trick of the trade, just like I showed Fab. I'm more than happy to help out and walk through. So
well, thank you. Awesome.
All right. Thanks, Jacob. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.